Welcome to your second lesson in your Poetry Chapbook workshop, Pre-Production, Administrative Planning, and Organizing. At the end of the last lesson, I asked you to consider 3 questions. What type of chapbook you wanted to create, what your main purpose for wanting to create a chapbook might be, and how you might use any artistic currency you gain by creating your poetry chapbook. I thought about the answers to those questions as well, and for what type of chapbook do you want to create, I divided my answers into 2 possibilities, non-traditional or traditional. And under non-traditional, I would consider an art book, a miniature book, some sort of handmade book, a broadside, or something unbound or not bound in a traditional manner, versus a traditional type of chapbook, which would be bound with saddle staples, spiral bound, thermal or perfect bound, or hand stitched. For the second question, what is your main purpose for wanting to create a chapbook, I divided that into 2 categories as well. I thought about business purposes and I thought about personal purposes. As for a business purpose, I could use a chapbook as collateral, as an exchange item, or as a sales or marketing item. But I've also created chapbooks for personal reasons in the past, where it was a personal challenge to myself, or I wanted to collect my work in one collection that I could give to someone else, or I wanted to learn something about the process, either my own writing process or about the publication process. For the third question, what are you going to do with your artistic currency? I thought of a couple of options, things that I would like to do, which would be to teach more poetry workshops, to participate in more readings, to enter some contests, or to add to my canon or my catalog, both as a person, just as an individual, and for my business. So the answers that I come up with for these 3 questions are going to have a big impact on my decisions and my choices going forward with my chapbook process. It's going to affect my budget, it's going to affect my timeline or my deadline, and it's going to affect my process, the parts of the process that I do or do not have to consider in my budget or in my timeline. With the budget, you want to start with a dollar amount, research and consider your options, and then allocate your funds. You don't want to be at the end of your process realizing you didn't allocate enough funds for duplication or for your art supplies that you might need if you're making a handmade book. With your timeline, you want to set a deadline because your time is just as valuable as your money. So begin with a deadline. Again, research and consider your options and allocate your time. Something artistic is going to take a lot longer than something you can drop off at Kinko's and have duplicated. And as far as your process goes, whatever decisions you make about your budget and your timeline and your artistic choices, your purpose, for example, you are going to have a different process than someone whose chapbook is being created for different purposes than yours. For example, you may not care about copyright, which changes your budget and changes your timeline. You may not need an ISBN, which means you don't need barcodes. You may not need printing and binding time or money, or you might. You may have some other form of duplication you need to consider, distribution options, whether or not you want to sell online, or whether or not you need to allocate time for PDF or e-reader conversions. So what I've done for you here is I've included 2 examples. I've included an example from Is There Room in the Alley for Another Poet, which is the very first chapbook I created, and I've included an example of And Something, which is a tiny little piece of collateral I created in 2005. Example 1 is about Is There Room in the Alley for Another Poet from 2001. My purpose for publication was twofold. First, I wanted to know firsthand the ins and outs of the publishing process to help me decide whether it would be worth starting a chapbook publishing company. At the time, after having recently graduated from a fine arts department and living in a new city, I also desperately needed an outlet for creative expression. The idea of publishing a chapbook was very exciting, but as a first-time self-publisher, it was an overwhelming process. The sense of being overwhelmed was also compounded by my being very naive. The list of things I thought I knew but didn't know was almost as long as the list of things I didn't know. This included understanding the difference between publishing a real book and a chapbook, knowing what a chapbook required or didn't require, and having the networking skills needed to find out where I was and was not making mistakes. Although all of my mistakes were financially costly and I wish I hadn't had to pay for them, the lessons I learned were invaluable. I started pre-production by jumping headfirst into my administrative and business responsibilities. While researching the publication process, I decided to use my own poetry in order to avoid potentially messing up another writer's work as I learned about publishing. I also wanted to avoid copyright complications. After having read the wrong books about publishing, books for publishers of real books versus chapbooks, I was also worried about how to calculate royalties, word legal contracts, and plan marketing or book tours. I pored over the rules for purchasing, applying for, and formatting the ISBN and copyright information. I researched and compared costs for ISBN labels, and I designed a logo for my company on the advice of yet another book about publishing. At the time, and without a clear understanding of what a chapbook was or was supposed to do, I thought all of the business licensure, legal, and formal paperwork was necessary in order to be a legitimate publisher. The creative part of pre-production was much easier and much more gratifying. I started by choosing the poems I wanted to collect in the book. I looked for poems that seemed to have something in common by laying all of my poetry out on my bed and shuffling and reshuffling piles until I was satisfied with my collection, both creatively and with an eye toward the financial reality. More poems equaled more pages and a higher production cost. I then sent my poems by mail to a professional photographer friend in California who had agreed to create a photographic cover for the chapbook. We collaboratively decided how to represent the cover. During the production phase, I typed all of my poems into Microsoft Word, printed the pages, cut out the poetry with a real pair of scissors, and pasted the poems into a mock-up with real paste. I was constantly finding errors and revising, reprinting, recutting, repasting, and fighting to accurately label the page numbers. I put hundreds of miles on my car driving back and forth to the print shop before I understood the word trim and adjusted my pages appropriately. In the end, I took all of my cut and paste mock-ups to the print shop and had double-sided copies made while I was there in case any adjustments needed to be made. The cover was full color, so after the copies were made and the cover was printed, they ran the chapbook through the saddle stapler for me. During post-production, I returned to administrative tasks. I went through the tedious process of listing my chapbook on Amazon. I sent copies to my hometown and college libraries, to my family members who had helped me finance my business startup, to Tom Waits and to Ryan Adams as gifts, and to a few chapbook contests. I also sent several mass emails to everyone I knew, badgered all of my coworkers until they each bought copies, and carried copies with me everywhere I went for several months. I received a few fair reviews, which was exceptionally encouraging, so with reviews in hand, I took my chapbook to local bookstores where it was sold on commission. Regardless of my efforts, however, I greatly overestimated the number of books I should have made, and of the 250 copies first printed, I still have approximately 150 left in a box in my closet. I learned several lessons during my first experience with publishing a chapbook. I learned to appreciate a chapbook for what it is and for what it is supposed to do. I learned about the administrative and business paperwork a chapbook does and does not require. I learned how and when or why to apply for an ISBN and copyright. I learned how many copies I should make and realistically expect to sell or use as a marketing or review giveaway. I also learned that the financial debits of this first project far outweighed the financial credits. My financial debits did far outweigh the financial credits. However, as for artistic currency, I did feel an overwhelming feeling of poetic legitimacy and accomplishment. My costs for that first book: for the decorative insert pages, it was $61.95. To print 250 chapbooks was $561.09. For the business license, it cost me $138. A batch of 10 ISBN was $275. The barcodes were $32.75. The copyright fee was $45, for a grand total, not including shipping costs or other business ephemera, $1,113.79. Example 2 is about And Something, a tiny little book I made in 2005. I published this tiny collection for 3 reasons. Being my 4th chapbook publishing project, I wanted to test a new layout. I was inspired by a marketing flyer my employer received in the mail that was also created in the basic shape of a matchbook. Additionally, I wanted to formally collect several of my short poems in one place. Finally, I wanted to create an inexpensive yet memorable publication to share with other writers at Naropa University's summer writing program. The pre-production phase of this project seemed virtually non-existent. The idea for a matchbook-style chapbook came quickly when combined with my desire to collect my short poems. There was a distinct lack of administrative responsibilities with this project because the purpose of the chapbook did not include selling through Amazon. It was a trade or giveaway item. Therefore, I did not need to include an ISBN or official copyright information through the Library of Congress. Although free to produce and easy to design, the production phase for this chapbook was very time-intensive. It is one of the few projects I have ever chosen to assemble by hand. I designed the cover and fold measurements by trial and error, and once complete, designed the inner double-sided page in Microsoft Word. Once printed, each cover had to be cut, measured, scored with a pencil, then folded and stapled. Each inner page had to be scored and folded, then pasted into the covers. The 100 copies took approximately 12 hours to assemble by hand. Just as with pre-production, my post-production responsibilities were very few. I used the copies as they had been intended, trading for several other writers' works throughout the program. Out of the original 100 copies made, there are fewer than 10 remaining. The completion of this project indicated a breakthrough in my own thinking about the chapbook's form. Beyond the commonplace and recognizable, the chapbook is limited in form only by the imagination of its maker. Just as a poem's form must echo its function, so must the form of a chapbook echo its function. As a giveaway, the cost-free solutions I found for creating this chapbook were a perfect complement to that purpose. The lack of budget for the project, instead of being as limiting as one might expect, inspired creativity. The artistic currency for this publication, including the building of community through the trading of work and the shifting of my thoughts about the chapbook's form, were invaluable. In summary, administrative realities will help you make artistic decisions. It doesn't generally work the other way around. All of your decisions that you make going forward are going to be based on those first 3 choices I've asked you to make. I've also included here some additional reading for you about binding and binding costs, some information about copyright for poetry, and some information about ISBN. This is just basic information to get you started so you can continue to make good decisions about your chapbook project. So for next time, please consider your vision for your chapbook. What are you willing to spend? What's your budget? How much time will you need? What's your estimated timeline or deadline? Are you prepared to follow through? Are there any of the steps in the process you just aren't willing to handle? So think about your answers to those questions, and we'll continue with Lesson 3.